Hi, I'm Melis. I work at Televic as a product marketeer for Assessment Queue. A few weeks ago, we were at eAA 2026 in London, and I had the pleasure of meeting some incredibly interesting people at the conference. And over the next few days, I will be sitting together with some of them for a quick conversation about the assessment industry, what they took away from eAA, and where they think things are heading within the market. Today, I'm joined by Geoff. He's the independent advisor to the digital exam and assessment sector. Welcome, Geoff. Thank you so much for being here. So
Hi.
would you like to start by telling us a bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. Thank you, Melis. Thank you for the invitation. It's really kind of you. You're right. I consult to the sector. I consult to the investment community, anybody who wants to invest into digital assessment, digital exams. I also consult to institutions, exam owners who perhaps want to extend their digital offer or even go from paper to digital sometimes. And also, as well, if they want to develop partnerships or invest in particular areas of assessments, those sorts of conversations tend to come my way. And the third customer group, if you will, are solution providers who, again, want to get into new markets. They want to partner. They might be interested in acquiring or investing in certain areas. So those are the kind of three customer groups that I have, and I've been doing this for into my third decade doing this. So
Oh, wow.
yes, it's one thing I really treasure about the conference, to have new people coming in and new
Yeah,
organizations to talk to. It means that the sector's thriving and it's growing as well.
yeah. Thank you so much for the introduction. Well, you covered the full sector, basically.
Oh, thank you. You're very kind. Thank you.
So, as you said, you were at the eAA a few weeks ago as well. What was the one conversation or moment that's really stuck with you?
Lots of conversations. It was obviously following up over the last week or so. People have said to me, "Oh, Geoff, I tried to talk to you, but you were really engaged with somebody else." So apologies to anybody out there who's watching that. I'm available now. I think the one thing that did stick with me was that we seem to be approaching a regime where we have two lanes of assessment that need to be considered now. One where you have almost a traditional knowledge recall and checking of understanding. That's done with very strict supervision, exams as we would recognize them. And the second lane, if you will, that needs to run in parallel or even blended together is a lane that consists of authentic tasks, oral defense, practical demonstration, AI permitted workflows, or a
Mhm.
combination of those things. And some Australian institutes, some Australian universities are already trying to put this into place. Now, the point is that we're not abandoning supervised exams, far from it. But the point is to stop treating the paper exam format as sacred and as the only way of assessing somebody just because it is familiar. So, what I really treasured about that moment was to understand that institutions, exam owners are starting to recognize that a high stakes exam, yes, still fits part of that journey, but we need more elements that feed into that, so you get a much more holistic overview of what that student, what that learner truly knows, and what skills they can apply.
Yeah. So what you're also saying is really there is no one solution that fits all. You really need to think about the candidates, your high stakes exams, and how you need to kind of structure everything around it.
Yes, yes. So I think the ability to partner, the ability to understand not just the ecosystem for assessment necessarily, but tailoring it for different sectors of the market, different cultures, different
Yeah.
countries, and different situations as well. A number of conversations and a couple of presentations that I saw dealt with those kinds of accommodations that are increasingly required as we understand more about people. We understand more
Yeah.
about brain science, for use of a better word. So as we start to understand people a lot more, I'm sure technology is able to meet that challenge and
Yeah.
really start serving people properly. Whereas in the paper exam format, they're really not able to
Mhm.
successfully, in my view.
Yeah. It gets limited at that point.
Very much so. Very much so.
Maybe thinking about this and zooming out a little. So, what do you think the assessment industry is getting right at the moment, or what do you think it still needs to change?
That's a
All these
great
things
question.
considered.
Yes. So I think it's doing a really great job in attracting new people, new organizations, and new investment into the sector. That's really important. I was really delighted to meet so many new people at the conference and listen to their viewpoints and their reflections on the sector from their perspective and their experiences as well. That really opened up my eyes. I think the international aspect is one area where the sector is starting to get it right. And I was so glad to listen to so many stories, case studies, advocacies from all around the world. So I really think we're getting that right. There's plenty to do, but I think we're starting to get a lot more traction in the international perspective. On what needs to change, I think there's more to do. I can speak from British or English perspective, but I think the policy lens in England in particular on assessment remains incredibly parochial. It remains very fixated on England's schools with paper exams. Now, some of those assessment leaders will say, oh, the current system is fair and it works for everyone. And I don't agree with that. So what needs to change? We need to stop indulging those paper enthusiasts and those who enable those enthusiasts as well. So while the sector gives the narrative to those people, those paper traditionalists have it easy. Oliver Cheshire of Galibier in his Wednesday talk really summarized that really well. He talked about it's not those with the most compelling solutions, it's those who tell the best stories. And I think if the discourse, if that battleground ends up being us versus a celebrity, then we as a sector need to get our story straight. We need to get our advocacy in place and ready to be deployed as well. Learners locked out by paper exam delivery deserve much, much better than this. So I think that change still needs to take place, but I'm heartened by what I'm seeing from our sector at the moment.
Yeah. And what do you think of the candidates? Because we also talk about the delivery of the exam and paper may be falling behind, that we need to think of other ways to do these exams. What do you think the candidates expect?
That's a really interesting question. There are two things that immediately come to mind. One is that we are seeing a small but very interesting movement where kids or young people are deciding not to take exams, almost exam refuseniks. Now, we need to understand the reasons for that and why they don't want to take those opportunities through the assessment regime. That really, really worries me. That's learners, candidates refuse the assessment regime. So we as a sector must reflect on, what is it that we're doing wrong? What is it that we are not giving those candidates and able to really have a platform for their future? That really, really worries me. Secondly, the nature of understanding candidates better, I think, is something that the sector is improving on. It's a lot better than it was, say, 5 or 6 years ago. And understanding areas such as deaf candidates, I saw a really great presentation by James Atkinson on how they reflected upon the fact that deaf candidates have a much lower pass rate in their exams than candidates who have no problems with their hearing. By drawing attention to that group and understanding how we can adjust our systems or make sure that they can be accommodated in a way that doesn't affect the validity of the assessment or the exam, I think that's really great work. That sort of work really deserves a much wider audience and a bigger platform. They are issues that technology can solve today and the sector can solve today. But yeah, be more candidate focused. And when you hear examples like that, and also how far we need to travel in terms of what the current system does, there's a long journey to go yet, but there are good signs. I'm encouraged by that.
Yeah, increasing the accessibility while actually keeping things fair for the candidates.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, accessibility was one of the big topics actually at eAA. That is true.
Yeah.
And maybe finally looking ahead, if you had to name one thing that will define where digital assessment is heading in the next 5 years, that could be in the UK or global, what would that be? What do you think? will
Well,
happen a big change in 5 years.
I'm not a fan of futurists. I'm not a fan of people who gaze into crystal balls looking for what the future may hold. But I believe one key thing is leadership. Good leadership must stop the paper enthusiasts, dominating and obscuring the e-assessment story. Good leadership needs to stop the conflation of digital as being the bad guys when the sector actually knows that we cure a lot of the ills of paper assessment. Too many leaders at the moment use concepts such as the digital divide as a crutch to justify a do nothing slowly strategy. And all the while, no one speaks for those learners that are locked out by paper. The job readiness requires skills enabled by digital, not tests of handwriting necessarily. So having great leadership really helps us push on that path and starts to really push away those people who are dominating and obscuring the e-assessment story. So if there's one thing, I'm looking for great leadership, and that can be worldwide. Assessment is thankfully a worldwide sector, and having great leadership is the one thing that will help shape this the sector in 5 years.
Yeah. That's really interesting to hear, actually, because right now that's also what we were debating in our team as well, where with the technology, where AI gets really important. Right now, we need more of the real sharings, the real stories, the practical examples, and indeed a great leadership. So maybe can we say that we need more of these conferences or areas where we can actually share our learnings and then decide for the future what it will bring?
Yes, I think there's a lot of scope to. One great thing is that I remember when I first attended the conference's predecessor many years ago, and there were probably 100, 110 people in the room. There were probably 3 or 4 times that at the conference now. So more people are interested in what we can do. More people are interested in those experiences globally as well, because all of the answers can't be solved within your own country. A lot of those answers have already been solved very successfully at scale, enabled by digital. So bringing together people like that is always a good thing. I enjoy listening to people. I enjoy learning so much about what goes on and feeding that to my clients as well, so they can make great decisions for their candidates.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you so much, Geoff, for your time today. Really appreciate that you taking the time on a Monday morning to have this conversation with me. It was always great talking to you, so I'm glad I got the chance to do it again.
Oh, my pleasure, Melis. Thank you so much.
Well, see you next time.
Bye for now.